back to another episode of the Startup Voyage. Today, we're here with Galina, and she is a veteran with 12 years experience, including roles as CPO and COO. And it's a master for her to even manage her work-life balance. Her educational journey includes a master's in information control systems and completion of the Harvard X leadership course. Presently, she's exploring AI's role in business at MIT. Diversely talented, Galina also pursued singing, performing live with an orchestra, fitness aficionado, which I try to be as well. And she's a completed Spartan race, travels around the world. Nice all-around guest to have with us today. Now, the reason why she's here is because we're going to discuss Web3 innovations, investment strategies in Web3 projects, and for her to share her personal challenges and solutions in her field. She'll offer some practical advice and some colleague anecdotes and some unique hypothesis testing checklist, which she'll talk about herself. So Galina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Arthur. I'm glad to be here today.
Great. Yeah, it's great to have you. So I guess let's just dive right into it. To kick things off, I think it'd be interesting because we've seen a lot of movement in the Web3 space recently, because obviously maybe Bitcoin halving, but altcoins and Ethereum, like all these prices are going up now. There's all this excitement. And I want to go back and, this past year has been a little bit slow on just overall crypto side. But when we look at the Web3 and the projects that are being built, I think there's still a lot of confusion around what is the difference between Web 2 era and Web3 for businesses, how they approach it. Maybe in your experience, can you paint a picture of how this transition is moving from Web 2 to Web 3 and what it means for businesses today?
Of course, Web3 is really amazing in the amount of innovation that has happened in the last 10 years. I'll briefly illustrate the picture from the past to the future, from the Web 2 to the Web 3. Let's take a retrospective look at what was the key success factor for companies in the Web 2 era. The drive to improve interfaces, to create intuitive and user-friendly products. Social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram stimulated us to post our thoughts, video, and images, creating a space to express ourselves and communicate with friends and people from all over the planet, and it worked brilliantly. We were able to rate other people, comment, like, and repost, which helped build a sense of one more story is online real-time collaboration tools such as Google Docs, Miro, Wikipedia have become popular on the work environment, impacting workflow efficiency. A big step forward in the beginning of AI, like making things more personal. Services like Netflix, Amazon started offering content. In our case, it's films and products based on users' preferences, which helped multiply the revenue of these companies. Then we smoothly moved into Web3 sphere. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, decentralization, and cryptocurrencies. What make a difference? It's flexibility, lots of crypto scams, and crazy speed in decision making. If you want to succeed in creating a project in Web3, you must be ready for rapid changes, pivot and pivot and again pivot, and adapt quickly to market requirements, spend resources efficiently, as tomorrow your startup may be irrelevant. Users are used to quality products, good services. It is difficult to impress them and offer something unique. Giant companies have set a very high bar for us in creating and developing products, and this motivates us to move even faster. I love the phrase Lewis Carroll wrote in his book, Alice in Wonderland, back in 1865. and now it is more relevant than ever. Now, here, you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that. These words represent very well the picture of what is happening in Web3 now. No, it can also be noted that nowadays it is much harder to attract investment in Web3 projects, as the usual approaches don't work and projects have not yet adapted to the new owns.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I just had a conversation with a CEO of a project that just got seed funding of about 2.5 million, and I'm gonna have him on the podcast as well. But one of the things we were talking about was how has he adjusted, with all these different changes in Web3? Like, how does he keep up to speed as he's got limited resources and a small team. Blockchain developers develop very fast by integration using APIs and SDKs and all these other tools out there, right? So let's say there's like 50, 70 other tools to build on different blockchain platforms. And for him, he was saying just in the last 6 months, he's seen a lot of new L1 and L2 projects just out of nowhere come out, right? And he has to vet them out and see whether or not he wants to support it and whether or not it'll add value to his customer set. So with, to your point, this space is moving very, very fast. So when we look at it, like we talked about it from an investor's point of view, let's dive deeper in that because I think that's really important, especially now things are ramping up. I think there'll be more liquidity for or investments into the space. So if we dive deeper into what it takes to attract your project to investors, you've mentioned, we talked before, that the traditional ways, they don't cut it anymore. Can you share some examples and stories of kind of illustrate what that shift looks like in the funding dynamics today?
Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. I will talk briefly about how investment were raised in the Web2 era and how that has influenced trends now. In 2017, the cryptocurrency market saw a historic boom market by the hype of ICOs. It was recognized as a revolutionary method of fundraising. Many projects, regardless of their fundamental characteristic, attracted huge investments from both private investors and big-name funds. Investors poured money into the project, hoping for a quick profit. However, most projects didn't have strong teams, available product, or proven value offerings. The ICO boom ended up beginning a bubble, and most investors lost their money when the bubble burst. For example, one of the biggest ICO in the history was the EOS project, Block.one. It held an ICO for a year, which ended in 2018 and raised about $4 billion. Come on! And in these years, many DeFi projects had high-profile hacks and exploits, resulting in significant losses for users and investors. For example, the project Harvard Finance was hit by flash lending attack, resulting in the stolen $24 million. Unfortunately, there are many such stories, more than successful ones. This has created a huge distrust on the Web3 sphere, equating everything related to the crypto sphere to the word scam. Between 2020 and 2021, the NFT market boomed with artists and authors selling digital collectibles for astronomical sums. However, this hype led to a lot of NFTs projects that lacked long-term viability and artist value. Many investors bought NFTs without realizing their value and lost money. For example, the most expensive NFT is Bipla Wonklis, or Work Every Day the First 5,000 Days, was sold at Christie's auction for $69.3 million in March 2021. Also, if we talk about trends, we can note that 2022 trends such as metaverses, play to earn, move to earn games, it's been shouted from every radio that this is a future. But what we are seeing now? The trends are no longer relevant. After the boom of NFTs and metaverses, a lot of investments were raised and lost. What this retrospective data teach us, and what conclusion should we draw? The first is that people always want easy money and do not want to do anything for it. Seeing beautiful success story, they develop FOMO syndrome, a feeling of lost profit, and under the pressure of emotion, they make rash investments. The second side of the coin is a huge amount of burn and deception. Hundreds of thousands of high-profile cases of bankruptcy, fraud, and project failure. Those who were able to learn from their mistakes become more cautious in choosing project for investment. The third is regulatory attention of profit, which passes by the states, and now many countries are actively working to regulate it all and make this area work for them. As a result, we can note the following: will remain and will continue to lose their money. But with their money comes a very angry PR if suddenly something goes wrong. Large funds, private investors have greatly revised their views on the approach to investment. To attract their funds and, even more importantly, experience and connections, you will have to try very hard.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think thanks for going into so much detail. For sure, there is if you talk to traditional TradFi guys, right? For sure, they would say, "Oh, well, this boom and bust of these projects and ICOs, that's no different than today's capital markets." And sometimes we need to recognize that this is just how capitalism works. So you talk about. I actually just talked to someone who was looking at fundraising activities, and they had told me they're looking for an opportunity to work with some people to list on some exchange, to get some support from exchange to get listed, and then also to, I guess, pump it up a little bit. And because they want a quick infusion of capital. And of course, someone always loses in those type of things, right? If you don't sell in time, if you're on the outside as a regular retail buyer. But the fact is, people, regardless of what day and age it is, and people want access to the capital as fast as possible. And the thought is, once I get that money, then I can really build the product. I can really start building the community, right? So I think it's really hard for some people to not be caught up in that, because it is a lot of hard work to begin with to build something that really suits an investor, right? So I think that would be a perfect segue into this question. Like, how should companies position themselves? How should they pitch their goals and reasons in a way in which it'll attract investment money? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very good question. The first thing to do is to answer the question why I am creating a project. What is
Yes.
my goal and how I can digitize it? Describe it, for example, using smart methodology and decompose it into metrics and steps. How will I realize that I have achieved the goal? I always advise making a main ambitious goal for the horizon of 1, 3, or 5 years and decompose it to the steps in detail for the next 3 months or half of year. What it gives up, what it gives for us. When we know where we are going, we can find many ways of how to get there. If we just do, unfortunately, there will be no effect. We look at successful examples and survivor mistakes and imitate them. This is a path to nowhere. What can be the goal? To make a successful business and sell it. I hear a lot of honest answers of founders. I want to create successful business and sell it
Yes.
to Google.
As soon as possible.
Yes, as soon as possible, and chill somewhere in the beach.
Yes.
For example, take the company to IPO.
Okay.
Attract, 300,000 paying users to the product.
Yeah.
And it's important that attracting investment, it is a sub goal that will help you to fulfill the main goal faster and more efficiency, but it shouldn't be prioritized without a key goal.
Yeah.
Believe me, if you can set goals, digitize them, and answer a number of questions, which I will talk about below, you will be different from 90% of projects on the market. We've discussed how being adaptable and ready for quick changes are important for successful companies today. Those who are able to react quickly to market changes have a better chance to success. Based on my experience, I will give the following advices to our listeners. The first one, you will be checked up and down. You should be ready for due diligence of funds. Everyone who has their own and project scoring is based on their unique parameters of the fund. But in general, there are a number of rules to follow to become more investors friendly and increase your chances. At the end of our podcast, I will tell you how you can get a checklist to check in your project and improve its performance before going to investors and business angels. Second is a strong team and transparency. People now don't invest in projects without a skilled and open team. The team and its expertise, diversity, play a crucial role in the success of a project. Third is a proven hypothesis of value. Make sure that project has a product whose hypothesis of value have already been tested and the market really needs. You should describe the experiment, test your value hypothesis before you start developing and raising money. The fourth, business plan and financial model. The project must have a clear business plan, a financial model. You must not only calculate numbers in vacuum, but also validate them with marketing activities, qualitative and quantitative research. Fifth is marketing strategy and active users. Marketing and product are the two closest friends. You as a manager should do everything to make this direction work together and coherently at the maximum. If you don't have a product and marketing strategy for entering the market and you don't understand how to make it, that it's better to stop and think how to do it. Six is mistakes. It's like, I think it's my favorite. All the things you draw up now and even later, strategies, plans, numbers, in 99.9% of cases will never converge with reality. Yes, it's truth. It's experience. Sorry. The world will change 100 times and you will still be redoing, recalculating, and pivoting 100 times. And that's okay. Why do all these things, you ask me? So that we can realize that we have gone wrong at same point. So that you can realize as early as possible that your ideas isn't really working and ideally before you have wasted a lot of your own, or even worse, others people money. To be able to find that very pivot niche at some point. The 100 Li road started with one step.
Well, that's a lot to take in. I definitely need to replay this whole podcast, and maybe it's something we could pull together in a social media post or something. So, you've touched on a lot of things that I think most startups will face, and of course, people are always going to be looking for shortcuts. For example, marketing strategies that do a lot of I always call it hype marketing, right? They put out some attraction to, hey, try out our product and we'll give you some airdrops, right? That's a popular
Yeah.
one. Yet they get all these users coming in, but they add no value. They give no real user data to feedback into your product, which is a false impression. But these are some of the games that are played, and I think I talk about that a lot because I think the reality these days, when capital is tight, investors become smarter. Plus, they have more time to do their due diligence. I do believe that when you're in the market, when it moves very fast and there's a lot of FOMO, investors will throw money in. Like, for example, you've got an anchor investor, well known, puts in like $10 million in a project. It's really easy for smaller guys to come in and start throwing money at it, assuming that someone has done their due diligence, right? So, but yeah, for sure. I mean, these are great tips for any project that is getting into space, and for sure, a lot of trial and error. I think that's the thing I always learned because I've been in startups for over 20 years. Is like if you need to fail, fail fast so you can learn from it, and then continue to reiterate. So you talked about the importance of testing hypothesis and finding product market fit early in the game. And I think that's very smart because obviously you want to make sure you're not burning so much resources trying to figure out building some big thing that might not even be relevant to the market. Can you walk us why this is crucial for Web3 projects specifically, and how its aspiring entrepreneurs can navigate these challenges?
Of course. Hypothesis testing of product value, determining product market fit as a vital stage for any project. Let's say you've done the goal setting exercise, calculated the metrics, and understand where you want to go. Next, it's important to understand how to meet this goal, how much it will cost, and whether the economics of the project will come together. Investors carefully check projects requiring solid proof of their potential. Metrics such as a number of active users, economic stability, and expected growth become key factors in attracting investment. Write out the value hypothesis for which users will come to your product and think about how you can test them with minimal effort and costs. So many books have already been written about hypothesis testing, lectures, videos, tutorials have been filmed, and still thousands of projects just do develop their idea without any confirmation that somebody needs it. Start by developing an MVP and start collecting feedback from users. I will not go into details now on how to test hypotheses about the value of product, as there are many techniques. They are described in detail in books like The Mount Test or The Lean Startup. Let's focus on how to attract money investments. After testing hypotheses, complete your research results with a business plan and financial model and think about a marketing strategy. Many people underestimate the search for a product channel fit, and very wrongly. It's been common all these years to focus on a product but not on the marketing. And so many cool products, really needed products, have failed to survive because they just couldn't find their market at the right price point. I'm telling you all this right now, and projects with cool ideas are wondering how to do. all this without funding. I would call it the chicken and egg dilemma. To attract investment, you need to create a product, find a market, and much more. And to do all that, you need investment.
Right. And this is everyone's problem in life.
Yeah.
even even when you're looking for a job, you have to show your CV. The employer will say, "Well, are they really going to produce the value that we think they will?" And there's always the decision: should you invest your money? So if everyone, I mean, so projects facing this issue, let's talk about some strategies to secure funding, specifically for positioning an MVP and managing that delicate balance between, you know, taking the money and creating value for the investor.
Yeah, I think you can start in by testing hypotheses, doing qualitative research, and interviewing people who have tried doing something similar and failed.
Hmm.
You will be surprised at how excited people will be to share their pain and failure with you. Approach MVP creation smartly. I really like the phrase, the best code is the code that isn't written. Be guided by this principle when you design your MVP. The next one is pitch your project as often as possible and get feedback. Every rejection should be perceived as an experience and something that can make your project better, stronger, or on the contrary, help you to take off your rose-colored glasses and look at the project from a different angle. Pivot and put your energy is in a different direction. Believe me, if you are rejected now, pointing out your weaknesses, and you come back in 3 months and demonstrate traction, show that you know how to work with feedback and value it, it will be appreciated. First round attraction, set achievable goals for yourself. I know a lot of product which I want to attract $20 million, but I don't have anything. Set achievable goal, please. Have prepared all the things we've talked about today. At this stage, you can try to raise small amount from angel investors who believe in your idea. Use crowdfunding platforms to raise funds from potential users and fans of your product. You can use your personal resources, aka the friends and family stage. Don't underestimate your own financial resources. Some entrepreneurs start projects by investing their own money, friends and family. Collaborate with technical partners. If you don't have technical skills, you can find technical partner who will develop the product in exchange for a state of the company. Sell your product to potential client now, before development begins. This can be super favorable terms for him. If you already have a contract with client at the time of raising money, it greatly increases your chances. It's also very important to pay attention, not only finding a product market fit, but at the same moment, think about product channel fit. In the past, the main focus of attention in the MVP stage was on creating the product. I suggest thinking about the product and marketing at the same time. You can create a super cool product, but then in turns out attracting users is unreasonably expensive on the market, or the market isn't big enough. You'll never end up being able to scale your business and make it profitable. You know, I have a few interesting cases, studies on this topic, including a few fuck ups.
I'd love to hear about that. So essentially, I think in the big picture, we know that there's a lot of things that you need to do to try to get investment money. Mostly, I think, at least from what I see when I talk to investors, they're always the whole point that people sometimes forget is investors want to put it in when they know that you can show to some degree some proof where if they put the money in, you're able to scale your business, right? So if you had an MVP, let's say you got a lot of user feedback that fed into your product design, and you show that, and you show that people been mostly happy with it. They had surveys or something saying that they would pay for using this platform, and then let's say you got 500 respondents, at least something like that you can kind of quantify. Okay, what does it look like if we put in another 100K? What would this look like, right? But yeah, for sure. You know, I think there's a lot of success in fuck ups stories. I love to hear
Yeah.
them because I think for sure nothing better than learning from real life experience. So why don't you go ahead and share your experiences of what case studies and topics around channel, market, fit, things like that.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to tell one success story and two fuck ups.
Good.
I will start with my own story. Last year, I launched a cryptocurrency education course. My goal as a product, yeah, was to create the best product on the market that would actually deliver value. After launching the first course, we collected user feedback by conducting an NPS survey, and the result was over 95%. However, at the time, the cryptocurrency sphere was at the peak, and the cost of advertising was very
Mm,
high, especially for influencer. We could not achieve economy efficiency. The cost of attracting user was several times higher than the average check from selling the course. As a result, the company decided to stop funding the project and we had to close it down. Our mistake was that we spent a lot of money in the beginning to develop a really cool product, but we were too late to pay attention to how much the users would cost us.
mm,
The second story is that the market can be finite. A colleague of mine, a well-known expert in the world of IT and medicine, he decided to launch a product aimed at a narrow audience segment, product managers in the medical sector. The product turned out to be a very high quality and expensive to build. It really gave value to potential users. But unfortunately, my colleague didn't calculate the capacity of the market. How many such users exist in his region presents. As you have already realized, there are very few. Uh, it was not possible to scale this product and this business. Okay, now let's move on the success story.
mhm,
Another, my colleague, was testing many challenges to attract traffic to his startup, and by chance found a source of cheap traffic targeting of female audience. He wondered how he could monetize this channel and decided to quick adapt on his AI startups. Girls would upload their photos or photo of themselves, and the app with AI tool would offer them manicure design. Some ideas.
mm.
His startup suddenly became very popular and started to generate good profit. What conclusion we can draw here? He found a source of cheap traffic in the beginning, and afterwards he saw through of what he could offer to this target audience. The conclusion is think about product channel fit as much as you think about product market fit. If you find a source of cheap traffic and then develop a product that appears to that audience, your way to success will be easier.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's one thing that I've been believing more and more that has been a trend in Web3 is that in the past it was about big communities, right? So before you can say, okay, I'm going to advertise on Facebook. So you got all these different users, then you go by country, by region. But really, I think what has really changed in Web3 is now almost like these micro communities, right? So you don't look at the broader numbers, but you look at the impact to a smaller segment. So you look at maybe something that really believes in ZK protocols, right? So this is a community and it's a small a subset of everything else. But let's say there's 3,000 people. Well, those are the who you want to attract in the first place. So you should just focus on that group and ignore everyone else, at least as a channel. So I think I really like that for sure. That's becoming, I wouldn't say, I don't know. Some days I feel like it's becoming easier, but I don't think it's easy. There's just so much stuff out there, so much noise, and different groups go hot and cold. I'm on Telegram some days. I don't know how many groups I'm part of, and sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't because I'm just so busy, right? There's just too
Yeah.
much noise. All right, well, let's talk about this. We're near the end of the year, right? So if we foresee what Web3 sphere will look like in 2024, do you see any exciting developments or trends that you think will propel or shift the trajectory of where Web3 is today?
Artificial intelligence, blockchain, and cryptocurrency are becoming a part of our daily lives, daily routine. Yes, there is no stopping innovation, but we can lead the process and make the most of it. We can already create content and visualization in just a few seconds, thanks for AI. And we're also improving our support services with learning chatbots and transferring cryptocurrency to each other in seconds with minimal fees. An important trend to watch out for is regulation by states. With the growing interest in cryptocurrencies, including for investment and payment purposes, states are beginning to pay more attention to them. This could lead to stricter control and regulation of cryptocurrency transactions, which in turn could promote global centralization while providing great stability and security in this area. Now let's touch a bit on the topic of AI adoption. Many fear that AI could become smarter than us, and here it is important to consider the legal and ethical aspects. From a legal point of view, issues related to AI are about liability and rights. For example, if an AI makes a decision that leads to negative consequences, who is responsible? It could be the AI developer, the company using the technology, or the AI system itself. Question about AI rights are also becoming relevant, especially if AI research reaches a level of self-awareness. One of the current challenges is to understand how AI is thinking, to understand the logic behind its decision making. The key task to keep up to date with the latest trends and test all the innovations of yourself to understand how it works and start applying it within your business as early as possible. One more tip or thoughts to ponder. Many investors perceive the use of AI technologies in startups with great enthusiasm. It can increase your ranking in the final score of the project. I would also recommend looking at applying Professor Porter AI strategies to your business. This will help to differentiate your project from the competitors, find focus for your first quick wins, and win the race for cost leadership in the future when your startup grows. I talk more about that in my LinkedIn. And also, I promised those who listen to our podcast to the end to share useful content, write me to my LinkedIn or Telegram, and I will send you a link to checklist for preparing your project for investment.
Thank you, Galina. Yeah, share that list with me. I'll add it to the description to the video and promote it on social media as well. I had a lot of guests that came on to the show about AI and my personal use of AI itself. What I had recognized at the end of the day, at least from my point of view now, is that it's just a tool. So who created the AI tool? Well, humans did. And
Yep.
who is creating the data? Is it the machine? No, it's humans creating the data. It just makes it easier to access. Like, instead of going to Google searching for stuff, I think one of the biggest things that I see in AI is the ownership of that data set. So right now you can argue, well, like everyone's using, let's say, ChatGPT. Where's that pulling from? Well, largely it's pulling from, let's say, Google, right? But
Yep.
at some point, if you want some more relevant, high valued, validated data, you can't go to Google. You need to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And most likely that those data sets will be private or they'll be licensed, right? You got to pay for it. So it'd be interesting that in the bigger picture, AI is making life easier, like what technology does. But in my opinion, maybe it's not changing things so much more than people think. It just makes things faster and easier for creativity and developing, I think.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with you. To
Yeah,
help
yeah,
make our life better, easier.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, Galina. Well, thank you for joining the show. And I'd love to check in with you through your LinkedIn posts. I know you've been doing a lot there, building your content, which is very valuable for the community. Yeah, just want to thank you for joining the show again.
Thank you, Arthur. Nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
Hey, so that concludes this episode of the Startup Voyage podcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening to this episode, and I'd really appreciate it if you leave any type of comments that you'd like to share, because it helps to feedback on how I deliver these podcasts, and I definitely want to improve it to continue to add more value to the audience. Now, you can follow us on many of the popular podcast channels: Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Equally, I'm going to be uploading all these episodes onto YouTube. So it's more than just audio, it's video. You can see everyone's faces. Look, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And I'm always open to new ideas or looking for new guests. So if you know anyone in the space of Web3 that is an influencer or a leader or someone who's really trying to shape what Web3 will be in the future, I'd love to hear from them. All right. So yeah, just comment below. You can DM me. I have all my information in the details underneath this podcast episode. So yeah, thank you for joining me today, and have a great one. See you in the next episode.